All right, so to set up for the restorative back bend, or sort of pre or post gardening practice, you'll take a blanket. So this would be the more subtle opening, and this is going to go underneath the shoulder blades. And when you extend out your arms, the arms will be above the blanket roll. So it'll look something like this. And it can be helpful to just start with the knees bent to encourage the lower back to relax. The fish pose is going to be a bit deeper of an opening. You could have this block that's going across your shoulders either at the lowest height or the second height. And for most people, the block for the head being one step higher is what feels best. And I like to have the block under my head and have that guide me down. And again, with this, I like to start with knees bent. So if you want to have your camera directed towards your mat, I'm happy to take a peek. And one of the really nice things about these supported back bends is that the props take away much of the effort so that the body can deeply relax. And what you may find is that as you settle into this initially, there's a lot of sensation. And you want to just notice if your body's able to relax and find ease in this. And if not, you may want to adjust what you have underneath your back. So a good indication that you've chosen the right setup for you is that you notice the sensations becoming less and less obvious as the muscles relax. And one of the reasons that we start with a chest opening and an upper back relaxing is because so much of what we do is the opposite of this. That shortening across the shoulder blades, the overstretching across the upper back. And you may notice that the lower back has softened and now you're able to straighten the legs. If you try that and there's discomfort in the lower back, you just back up. And as we go through our practice today, I'll mention options, I'll mention progressions. And so all of those are just options. And if you're feeling particularly adventurous, you may want to try them, but make sure if you're not able to breathe and you're not able to soften into it, that you just go back to the previous. Because our yoga practice it's not necessarily goal-oriented. It may sound cliche, but it is about the journey, and it's about noticing how we react to certain sensations and to certain challenges. And if we can just observe that, then the end goal, or trying to get to a certain configuration of our body, becomes less important. We notice the breath, we notice the sensations and how they change in our body. And that's the Annamaya Kosha, the food body. That's the physical body, the muscles, the bones, the ligaments. But then we have the Manomaya Kosha, or the mental body. And that's all about our observations and then our reactions. And especially when we're doing this opening and there's not a lot of physical movement, gives us the time and space to just watch and observe some of those other layers. Notice the breath and whether it's full and complete, or if we've gone beyond what our physical body is looking for sensations. You may notice that that shows up in the breath, being a little labored, a little less complete. But just enjoy a couple more moments of your supported back bend. And to come out of this, bend your knees and just let some very gentle sort of rolling out underneath the upper back, whether you have your blanket or the blocks. Sometimes coming out of this, especially if we were particularly tight, you want to be slow and easy with this. Now, when you're ready, just gently make your way to your side and notice the imprint of the block or the blanket. We'll just slide the blocks out of the way and come right back onto our backs. Now let your arms come back out to that T position. Rotate the palms up and let the arms just relax into the shoulder socket. And now notice if bending the elbows into sort of a goal post configuration. So you still have the back of the hands touching the mat. This is going to give you an opportunity for a deeper stretch. And it may or may not feel right for you. It may feel right on one side, but not the other. And take a moment to just make the adjustments so that the breath is flowing freely and the sensations are becoming less and less as your body relaxes into this. Now let your feet come all the way to the edges of the mat, the knees follow, and then you let the knees flow side to side like windshield wipers. And your head can go in the opposite direction. And see if you can allow the breath to set the pace. So the inhales when you lift out of the gentle twist, and the exhale is when the knees drop. And this movement might be most obvious in the knees, but it's coming from the hips. And just notice if you press into the back of the hips a little bit more, if you focus on the grounding and the connection of the back of the hips and the mat, just notice how that feels on the front of the hips. We have the practice of rooting and rising, where when we tap into the earth element, it can bring stability into the body in order to invite a greater range of motion on other body parts. So we always have an anchor in the yoga poses, and we expand and we stretch from that anchor. And let your knees just rest when they come back to the center, and heel toe your feet hips distance. Release the arms so they clasp behind that right thigh, and begin stretching and bending. A nice gentle warm up of the knee joint, the hamstring, the arch of the foot. Next time the leg is straight, pause here and press the back of the leg into the hands. Press the hands into the leg and press the back of the hip, the glute, the head of the femur bone. Press that into the floor and stretch out through the heel. So again, a lot of times in these poses, we have several different energetic directions. And then release into the figure 4, where you cross that right ankle over the left thigh and the right hand gently presses into the right thigh. And the right thigh resists. And then the back of the hips, the glutes, they stay rooted into the floor. And you may notice sort of subtle shifts where the weight may be pouring into that left hip, but we want to keep the right hip grounded also. And then invite the breath to inflate the belly. And invite the mind to just watch the sensations. Watch the breath. And just notice any reactions, whether it's calm and peace, or boredom and frustration, anticipation. You just watch it like a movie, observing like a witness. And release the right leg down, and we'll hug the left leg in, clasping behind the thigh, and you stretch and you bend. You keep that left leg extended, and you gently press the back of the leg into the hands into the leg. You root into the floor and you stretch up to the ceiling. Again, inviting space into the body, getting longer and taller, releasing compression in the joints, stickiness in the ligaments. And then cross that left ankle over. You've got your figure 4. And take a moment, just scan your body. Notice where you need to root. Notice where you can invite a sense of rising. And then just watch. And release that. Hug both knees in, and let's make some circles with the knees together. Nice massage for the lower back, a nice warm up for the hips as you flow in and out of a pelvic tilt, flattening the spine and then arching it. Take those in the other direction. And then you pause and make circles away from each other. Nice warm up for those hips. Reverse direction. And knees come together, extend the legs, extend the arms, and circle wrists and ankles. Nice way to recirculate the blood, giving us energy. Reverse the direction of those circles. And bend the knees, shins are 90 degrees. Lower back is grounded to the mat. Uddiyana Bandha, hip points narrow, lower belly zips up. Arms come out to the side, palms face down this time. And keeping about 6 inches in between the thighs. Let the knees drop to the left. And if you can, let them come all the way down. sorry, the bottom leg touches down, the right leg hovers, so it's still 6 inches apart. And then using the bottom leg, press up. So you want to feel those obliques engage to bring your knees back up to center, and then let them lower towards the right. So the right leg touches down, the left leg is still hovering. And then the bottom leg presses up. And just go side to side here. If it's too much to go all the way down, then you would just take it slightly off center, just enough to activate those muscles. And you're breathing. So you lower the legs on the exhale. The inhale is when you press the legs back up, and try to keep the knees aligned with the hips. Next time the knees are back up to center, give them a little hug, and we'll come up to table. So you're welcome to add your knees. You can start off with traditional cat and cow. Toes curled under so the arches of the feet get a nice stretch. And about a little bit of freestyling. Maybe you make some hip circles. Maybe you pause in a child's pose. Let the head, the neck, the jaw be free. And just invite a sense of aliveness into your body. Reversing direction. And next time you're in table, pause. Toes are curled under. Now, option to come into a child's pose. Or you press the hips back, but then you float the knees up. So they're probably 5 or 6 inches. Uddiyana Bandha, hip points narrow, lower belly zips. And then you can begin to straighten the leg. Now, if this is too much on the shoulders, you could have your hands against the wall, or you could have them on a chair. And a nice little pedaling out to open up the backs of the legs. Again, think of inviting space and length into the body. Noticing the feedback the body gives you, whether it wants more or less. Come back to your table. Extend the left leg back. Get on the mat initially. Float the leg up. Hip points narrow, lower belly zips. Extend the opposite arm. So root to rise. Press into that right knee, left arm. And then slide the arm and leg away from the midline and come back to center. Flow with your breath. So we have the Samanavayu hugging in, Vyanavayu stretching out. So can you feel both the physical sensations and maybe the energetic sensation? And next time the arm and leg are midline, you pause. Lower the right hand down. Take that left leg over to the right and look over the right shoulder. Imagine the breath traveling between the hip bone and the lower rib. And then let it inflate the entire rib cage. Come back to your table. Extend the right leg. Again, invite the back of the leg, the back of the body to find length. Uddiyana Bandha. Now, you can lift the right leg up. Now, right away, begin to transfer weight into that right hand and left knee. And then maybe you extend the left arm, and you might need more support, more rooting. And then you flow from center outward and back to the center. It can be helpful to imagine you're doing this in water. You're creating a sense of resistance. Next time you're in the midline, lower the left hand and take that right leg over to the left. Look over the left shoulder and once again invite the breath. To gently create space from the inside out. Come back to the center. And into Sphinx pose. We're on forearms and belly. Great pose to invite length in the front of the hips that you can fall into a shortened state from standing and sitting. Now, if this is too much, you can come right down like this. This is also creating a more restorative opening for the front of those hips. In your Sphinx pose, notice the parts of the body that touch the floor. Can you root down a little bit more? And then can you rise up a little bit? Now you're welcome to stay here. Keep the neck relaxed and just notice where your gaze is. That can affect the sensations you feel on the neck. So find a comfortable gaze. It's usually about 12 inches in front of your mat. And if you'd like to come into a variation of forearm plank, you can turn the toes under and begin first by lifting up the belly, maybe the hips, and maybe into the thighs. Great pose for Uddiyana Bandha. Great pose to practice the rooting and rising. And then the Samanavayu, you hug in. So it's like you're drawing the elbows and hips towards each other. And then Vyana, it's like you're stretching apart. And then you find the place in the middle, a little Samana, a little Vyana. Relax the neck, relax the breath. And then you release all the way down. Let the arms come along the sides, the forehead comes to the mat. Legs close together. Root down through those hip bones. Draw the belly button away from the mat. Float the legs up. So rooting through the hip bones, the legs get light. But just make sure there's no compression in the lower back. So we'll press out through the balls of the feet. Option to lift the head, the shoulders, the arms. One more breaths. And then release down. Make a pillow for your forehead with your hands. Bend the knees. Once again, let them flow side to side with the focus on the thighs connecting to the floor. Massaging out the front of the thighs. In our yoga practice, we do a lot of warriors that are strengthening for the thighs. And so we want to make sure we balance that strengthening with some warming up and some release. And then release the legs, come back into your Sphinx. Round 2. Stay here. Or come into a variation of forearm. Can you feel your body rooting and rising? Can you feel the core in the belly? Press out through the heels, press out through the crown of the head. And just hold for 5 more breaths. And as you're holding, just notice if you can shift the effort from one body part to another, if there's a body part doing too much. And you come into Shalabhasana when you're ready, arms along the sides, forehead to the mat, rooting through the hip points. Then legs float. And maybe the head, shoulders, and arms. This can be quite a challenge to keep the breath long. Notice if you drop out of it a little bit, you might have an easier time breathing. And when you're ready, release down. Enjoy that windshield wiping, thigh releasing motion. Release that down. Let's take that right leg into a half frog, just a soft half frog, because we're still warming up. And a few breaths to try to relax that leg and the hip socket. And notice where the weight goes. There's a tendency for it to roll into the left side, but invite it to be distributed to the right. And then release out of that. Take a pause. Notice the difference in the two legs, if at all. And when you're ready, the left leg can come into its gentle half frog. So not your full, deepest stretch here. And then once again, play around with weight. Notice the habitual tendency. And then try to invite balance. And release that. Take a moment to observe. Press up through table. Stretch back either child's pose or maybe a downward dog. We just want to bring some length into the back. We did a lot of back bending, so let's reaffirm finding length and space in the joints. And lower the knees back down. You're in table. Have your blocks to the front of your space. So you're going to do a knee down lunge. You're welcome to find padding with a blanket. And if this doesn't feel at all good on the knees, you can come to a wall, coming into a lunge. And we're just going to bend and straighten. And so feel free to pause anywhere in this rhythmic vinyasa, whether it's with the knee bent or straightened. Nice. Let the breath set the pace. These look great. And next time the right leg is bent, just pause here. Let's come into a gentle twist. So reach that right arm up, a gentle twist. And release it down. And if it feels all right, curl the back toes under, lift the back knee, and once again, straightening and bending. If it doesn't feel good to lift the knee, you keep it down. And next time the knee's bent, pause here. Once again, a twist. The right arm reaches up. You release down, lower the back knee, and take the front knee back to meet it. Let's switch sides. Left knee comes forward. You might find you need a different variation on this side. And you flow with your breath. We talk about the energetic qualities, and we've talked about the grounding, the rooting and rising. This is the water element, Jala. And so this should be fluid, focusing on the gentle movement of the joints. Next time the knees bent, pause here. And come into that twist. Will you twist to the left? Slide the shoulders on the back of the body. Exhale, come back to center. And the option to lift that back knee. And begin your flow. Next time the knees bent, you pause and set up for your twist. Release that, lower the knee down, step back to your table. Now, if you've got blocks, just for something different, you may want to try your downward dog with your hands on the blocks. It's a way of just adding length to the arms. So your toes curl under, and you press up, back. And just notice how that feels. Blocks can be a nice option while the hamstrings are lengthening. And you can again invite any of that little micro movement that you like to take, bending the knee. Nice. Now we're gonna travel to the front of the mat so you can gently walk the feet towards the hands. You can keep the hands on the blocks if you like. Invite the back of the legs to find length. Invite the neck to find length. Hands come to the hips. Hip points narrow, lower belly zips. And then inhale, you rise. Take a gentle back bend. Pause here for a moment at the front of the mat, inviting a sense of opening in the front of the body and grounding down, tailbone lengthening, heels rooting. And then inhale, you rise, gentle back bend. Exhale, you fold halfway. Press into the legs, invite that length, Uddiyana Bandha. Pause here. Imagine stretching your heels apart. Then bend the knees, come into your chair pose, Utkatasana. Hip points narrow, lower belly zips, shoulders relaxed, jaw relaxed. Then inhale, you rise, gentle back bend. Exhale, you fold. Pressing into the legs, lengthening the spine. Arms can extend forward if you like. But we've got to make up for that support, and that usually comes from the core. So stronger, more intentional Uddiyana Bandha. Bend the knees, take a seat. And then inhale, you rise, gentle. Exhale, release the arms down. And have your blocks set up. You can remove anything that was on your mat. The socks can come off if you still have them on. And we'll come into a flowing sequence. Inhale, rise. Exhale, you fold. Next inhale, press into the legs, nice long spine. On your exhale, the right leg steps back for warrior one. A nice opportunity to open up this right psoas. Arms rise up, but try to keep the ribs hugging in towards each other. Root through the lower body. So find that stability. And then you flow with the breath. In and out of the pose. You're welcome to close your eyes and tap into that water element, that fluid movement. Maybe create your own resistance like you're in water. Have the move intentional and be curious as you just watch muscles fire up and then muscles relax. Next time the arms are up, pause here. Put your right palm to the ceiling, grab the wrist, and then stretch to the left. Now we need a little more grounding. Really press into that right heel. Keep the left knee bent. And then inhale back to center, release the hands. On your exhale, hands come to the blocks and the back leg lifts. Drop the hip. Take that right leg to the left of the left foot. So pinky toes are next to each other. And then walk the blocks, your body to the right. And relax into your forward fold. And this is a kind of fun place to just play around with weight. Watch how muscles turn on when you shift where the weight is on your feet. Come back to center and uncross the leg. And then inhale, you rise. Gentle back bend. Exhale, you fold. Inhale halfway. And exhale, step the left leg back for warrior one. I'm sorry about that blur. Get your grounding through your legs. And when you're ready, the arms rise up. Notice when the arms rise up, does it take a little bit more effort to stay grounded into the feet and the lower body? And when you're ready, just flow in and out of this. Watch the muscles turn on. And watch the muscles let go. Nice. Really nice fluid movement and rhythm with the breath. Yeah, notice how the knee bends, the arms rise, and you get that deeper stretch in the front of the hip. Now, next time the arms are up, knees bent, pause here. Flip that left palm up to the ceiling, grab the wrist, and then stretch to the right. You gotta balance that by pressing into that left heel a little more. And you'll notice that when the right knee is bent, you can ground more through the right foot. And then the inhale brings you back up. You release the hands. Now, can you straighten the elbows a little bit more and still maintain ease in the arms? So the arms are active, fingers are spread. Even you can feel the skin on the palms stretching. Sometimes we forget about the hands and the feet because they're far away from the midline. On your exhale, hands come to the blocks and the back leg lifts. You level off the hips, you activate that Uddiyana Bandha. And then take that left leg over to the right of the right foot. And then walk the blocks in your torso over to the left. And you can flow between having the weight on the balls of the feet and the weight on the heels. And just be curious about what you notice. Do the knees want to lock? Notice the sensation behind the knees and whether you need to soften. Come back to center. And you inhale and rise, gentle back bend. On your exhale, right into a forward fold. Inhale, press into the legs, nice long spine. And then the right leg steps back for warrior one. Second time around, we'll come right into it. And straightening the leg, lowering the arms. Bending and reaching. Option to add on the upper body. Flowing with your breath. Again, if your lower back was achy and this is not feeling good in your lower back, you stay to the previous variation. If you're doing sort of whole torso forward, just notice the extra effort you need in that right leg in order to just balance the effect gravity has when you take your whole torso forward. And next time you're upright, just pause here in your warrior one. We're going to set up for warrior three. Hands go on the hips. Rooting and rising. So press into that standing leg, Uddiyana Bandha. Begin to shift forward. And then float the back leg up. Now right away, we've got to drop the hip. Press into that left heel. So you get the muscles of that left leg activated. Press out through the right heel. And then release to the front of your space. Nice. Inhale, rinse it out with a nice gentle back bend and then a forward fold. Press into the legs, nice long spine. And then left leg steps back and we come right into the warrior one because we've been here before. You start with your flow. And you decide if you want to take this into whole upper body. And just notice the little wobbles in the feet, and all of these little wobbles are opportunities to just strengthen the subtle stabilizing muscles. Very nice. And next time you're upright, pause. Focus on that rooting, that grounding, that stability. Let your hands come to your hips. Shift the weight to the front leg. The back leg floats and you drop the hip. Pressing into that right heel, that front leg, offering you support. Nice. Relax the neck, relax the jaw. Very nice. And then release to the front of the space. Rinse it out with a deep breath in and a gentle back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press into the legs. And then exhale, warrior two, right leg steps back. Just let those hips find a nice gentle opening. So let your lower body find its grounding, its stability. Hips open to the side, knee towards the short end of the mat. And then arms come out to the side. And just take a moment to notice the tendency to be in the future. And then flow in and out. Again, imagine flowing through water. Imagine the joints supple and flowing with ease. Next time you're in your warrior two, pause here. Lift the front palm and reach up and back. Now we're reaching away, so we need to reaffirm that grounding through the front leg. And then inhale through your warrior two. Keep going. Hands come to the blocks, the back leg lifts, and then you step forward. That's just one option. However you get to the front is totally fine. You enjoy a gentle back bend. Exhale, you fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, left leg steps back for your warrior one. Again, focus on the root of this pose, how the feet are connecting to the mat. Feel that stretch in the inner thigh. And then inhale, the arms expand and relax. And then you flow in and out. You're welcome to close your eyes. Often that can increase our awareness of the sensations, increase our awareness of the breath. Nice. Next time you're in your warrior two, you pause. Flip the front palm and reach up and back. Tap into your grounding, your rooting. And just notice how that might affect space in the upper body. And then inhale through your warrior two. Keep going. Hands come to the mat and you step back, either plank or maybe the knees drop down. Option for a chaturanga. So for chaturanga, your knees can be down, but slide your shoulders so they're over your fingertips, not your wrists. Press out through the heels, Uddiyana Bandha, and bend the elbows just any amount. Relax the shoulders, and then come into a back bend of your choice. So that can be up dog, or you could do Sphinx or that crocodile pose. And then press back downward dog. We're going to flow into pigeon. If you like to do it on your back, you can head there anytime you like. The right leg lifts and you bend the knee, open up the hip. And then bring that right knee into the rib cage, root down to rise. And then release. Root, rise, release. You may want to slide a block or a blanket underneath the right hip. Stay upright or drop down. And noticing the sensations, and if it's too much, you adjust. Want to get to the space where the sensations lessen as you breathe and soften into the pose. If the sensations are increasing, that's a good indication of a need to reduce or alter or add a prop. When you're ready, you can slowly transition to downward dog. So take your time. You're ready, the left leg lifts. Your breaths to open up the hips, circle out the ankle. And you bring that left knee into the rib cage, you root to rise. You settle in when you're ready. Traditional or on your back. And transition to downward dog when you're ready. And invite and gentle movements to encourage release. And we're going to meet up on the floor, and we'll be transitioning to our back. So if you're on your back, just hang out there with your knees bent. And allow yourself to really tap into that grounding quality of being on your back and connected to the floor. You can grab your tie and take it on the ball of that right foot as you extend it up to the ceiling. And then you notice how that hamstring feels now compared to the beginning of practice. And stay rooted through that right hip bone. So there can be a tendency to forget about our anchor when we're stretching. And then option to extend the left leg. Tying the right hand, left hand on the left hip, and half happy baby. You take that right knee, you let it relax, the right elbows on the mat, and just invite space along the inner thigh and encourage that leg bone to find ease in the hip socket. Come up to center when you're ready, and take the time the left hand. And let that leg come across the body. You're welcome to slide a block underneath the leg. And that right arm can find some ease. Experiment with where it feels best on the ground. And when you're ready, come back to center. Oh, give that knee a little hug, a little rock. And then let that knee come across the body again. Spinal twist, but this time knee bent. You can always bend the bottom knee also if that feels better, or you could come into eagle legs if you're looking for more focus on the hips. When you're ready, come back to center. Extend the leg long, extend the arms. Right. Rebend the knees and take the tie on the ball of the left leg and lengthen that up to the ceiling while keeping the hip grounded. Extend the right leg and half happy baby. Setting up your twist, you can take that block to the other side and release that left leg across the body and invite that right arm and shoulder to find a comfortable position. Allow your body to receive the twist, receive the realignment. A lot of the activities we do one-sided. Sports like tennis and golf and gardening and vacuuming and raking. Most of us do these leading with one side, and I can misalign things, and spinal twists are a nice way to create a condition for your body to rebalance. When you're ready, back to center and hug the knee in. And then he comes across the body for your spinal twist. Round two. Your way back to center when you're ready, and extend the leg. Take a full body stretch and just notice if there's any final movement or pose you'd like to take. Maybe legs or hips on a block and legs extended. And taking your time when it feels right, transitioning to Shavasana. There's no hurry. I invite you to just notice when your body feels complete and ready. Allow your next breath to be a little longer, a little deeper. Invite gentle movements. Maybe begin with wiggling the fingers and toes. If it feels right, maybe taking a full body stretch. When you're ready, making your way to your side. Enjoy a pause. Perhaps a moment to reflect on what you'd like to take from your practice and lead throughout your day. When you're ready, make your way up to seated. If you'd like to join me in a chant of Om, take a deep breath in. Namaste. Thank you guys.